what's going on, family? Listen, we've had a lot of amazing guests on the show, and perhaps you may have never, ever listened to those episodes. So we wanted to present a new segment called SONW Classic, where we go back, we revisit those iconic conversations, and give those full episodes back to you. Sit back and enjoy this week's SONW Classic. Ladies and gentlemen, I got the one and only Tanner on the show today. What's going on, bro?
What's up, man? Thanks for having me. Appreciate the intro.
What would be your advice for someone who is trying to run ads or thinking about it, but they don't necessarily have all the right things put together?
Yeah, great question. So the first thing I would do is before you ever run ads is make sure that you actually have a process that's working. Ads amplify what's working, and it also amplifies what's not working. So for me, when I started my business, the first thing I did is I was just doing outreach, cold outreach. So think of it like door-to-door sales. It's not efficient per se, but it does work. And when you're broke, that's really the only thing you can do. So on average, if anyone's listening, start by sending 100 messages. You're looking for about 30 responses. You need about 5 replies. Then you need to close 1 or 2. If you're not hitting those ratios, something's off. And it usually means you're just not very good. So the only way to get better is you do more reps, right? It's not less reps. It's more reps always. It's more. Once that's down or you feel confident enough to run ads, if you have very little money, I'd start with what's called a boosted post. So you can go on Instagram, you click one of your posts, hit boost. And then what'll happen is you'll start getting more likes and engagement on that post. And then you can actually DM those individuals, and it's really cheap. And that's usually a great strategy for people trying to go 5K a month, 10K a month. It's very cheap and it's very low risk. Once you're trying to get to higher levels, typically you need to start running messenger campaigns or just straight to page because you need more volume, right? So boosted posts are not really going to work because you're going to get a block feature. You can only message so many people in an hour. Usually it's like 20-ish. And then so what I do, and when I did to grow my company, is I drive a lot of my leads to Messenger, but you can also run straight to page. I think Messenger is better for most beginners because if you can learn how to have a conversation, which you can do organically, then when you run your ads, you're just doing the same process again, right? You're not trying to recreate the wheel by building a perfect webinar or some VSL video that you hope really hits off. So for anyone who's listening, if you don't know how to do ads and you want to learn, you could go to udemy.com. It's super cheap. It's like $100-$200. And then just go through that, and then you'll have a lot better understanding of ads. Then obviously the best teacher will just be experience, right?
What exactly are they saying in these DMs? Is it really them? Is it a VA? Is it a bot? Like, what exactly are they doing? Because I can imagine sending 100 DMs, it can be repetitive, right? But you also want it to lead to something.
Everyone wants, to feel productive and feel like they got this business off the ground, and they think it should be all this fancy shit, and it's not. It's doing the boring stuff over and over and over again. So that's number one. In terms of what's in the inbox, I use actual human beings. So I have actual, either myself or setters who are in there doing it. You can do bots, but they're just not there yet. I think they'll get there with AI, but they're still not there. And you usually have to train it to your methodology. So for me, what we do is in a month, we might handle 200,000 messages because if we get about 20,000 leads, let's say, 10 messages per lead, about 200,000 messages where we actually have human beings, whether it's myself or my team, that I've trained on what to say. And the reason it works is because you're scaling something that's very hard to scale, right? And so anytime you can do something in business that's different than everyone else, that's the number one rule of standing out and staying successful. I think a lot of people, they try to just, they'll run ads to some webinar and they just hope that it magically works. And more times than not, it doesn't. And even in, if they do a follow-up process of emails have like a 15 to 30% open rate anyways. So they're just not doing enough to get people through. And so for me, I always know, hey, if I can have a conversation with someone, I'm so good at sales, I can probably convince them to take action and buy. Versus a lot of people, they're kind of crossing their fingers when they run ads. And they're like, please work. And that's not a great way to be. It's like the lottery. I just don't want to live my life that way.
Talk about a little bit to our audience why it's important to eliminate distractions and go after those goals.
Well, so where that post came from was I had a client and she was doing $25,000 a month and she was very frustrated, right? And she got on a call. I don't usually get on these calls, but I got on a call with her because she's very frustrated. She's been a long time client and she was crying and saying, hey, I got to take care of my family and I need to get to $100,000 a month. And I'm out of time. And I just said, okay, break down your schedule. So she breaks down her schedule and she's telling me all these things she's doing that don't drive sales. And I just said, okay, let's back up. What drives sales? Sales calls, right? How do you get sales calls? Messaging, leads, right? And I'm like, okay, So why are you doing anything besides messaging leads and taking sales calls? She's like, well, that's a good point. I'm like, yeah. So we changed her whole schedule, and now she's doing 25,000 a week, and that's $100,000 months. And that literally happened within, I'm talking 7 days, all because she just shifted what she's doing. So the funny part is a lot of people, they fall in love with the idea of a business, but they don't actually want to do what it takes to build a business. So it doesn't sound sexy to say, look, you're going to sit down all day today, and you're going to message people for 10 hours, and you're going to have a couple sales calls, and you're not going to move. And I mean, people just don't want to hear that. They want to hear there's some magic formula or magical coaching program or some secret trick or some pony. And like the longer I've been in business, the more I realize it really is all the same stuff over and over again. But yeah, I mean, that's why it matters for distraction, because people are being told by either watching YouTube videos, or they hear something, or they see something, or some Facebook post, and they think that what they're doing isn't working, when in reality they just suck at it. And a lot of people don't want to admit they suck, but that's usually the truth.
What do you feel like have been some of those mistakes that entrepreneurs might not see that is right in front of them?
You need to hire someone to show you what to do. And a lot of people, they wait and they wait and they wait and they wait, not understanding that the longer they wait, the less likely it is they'll be successful, because not being successful can get just as much momentum as being successful. So it's like this rock, right? And so the longer it takes you to get it moving, you're more likely to quit. You're more likely to go back to school. You're more likely to get a job you hate versus actually building that business. So my advice would be, if you don't know what to do, pay for help. If you don't have the money, be resourceful, move home, live in a homeless shelter, literally whatever it takes, because at the end of the day, when you get to where you're trying to go, it's always worth it.
Yo, what you think? I hope you enjoyed today's episode. I want to know what you learned. So if you wouldn't mind, would you take a screenshot of you listening to the podcast on your phone right now? Upload to your Instagram stories, tag me at Shawn Anthony _, and then let me know in that Instagram story what is one thing that you learned. I love hearing from you, my listeners, thought leaders, former or current students all around the world. Let me know, and while you're doing this, go inside the podcast app, subscribe, leave a 5-star review and a 5-star rating. Again, this helps us reach more people. And if you want to be a part of this mission, helping us change the world one person at a time, it makes a massive difference by you leaving a review. Thanks so much. I'll see you next week. And remember, dream it, believe it, go out and get it.